Oh, hello, hello, and I am live. Yes, it's me, Hermie, once again coming to you live from my palatial estate here in Collingwood, or should I say my little workshop today. Let me just double check as always. Is everything going good? Oh, it looks like I'm live. Let's double check just to make sure. Oh, there we go. Live, yay, or at least yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, it is so good to see you. I know you're all scrambling, I'm sure, running around just as I am trying to get everything done for the big day tomorrow. But I certainly appreciate you taking time out to your busy day to once again share the Janome love. Oh, hello, Linda. It's great to see you. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining me today. My name is Michael Smith, the National Education Manager of Janome Canada. And yes, I'm back here for another live that, oh, lovely. And Lydia is from Ottawa. And then, yes, I'm live in the Janome Canada Facebook page, as well as Janome America's Janome Sewing Machines Facebook page, and Janome HQ YouTube, and Janome America YouTube. So this way, even if you, oh, and my sister Deb is here, lovely, hello. Even if you don't participate in the social media as much of Facebook and Instagram, you can certainly share the Janome love on YouTube, after the fact of these presentations. Oh, and Joanne's from the UK. Hello, hello. So wonderful. Hello, everyone. It is great to see you. And yes, I'm back to share more Janome love, specifically about, have you ever been doing a project? I know I've been caught many times. I'm so inspired. I, go check janome.ca and I see all the fabulous free projects on the Inspire tab on janome.ca. Oh, I hear a little bit of feedback. There we go. And I get so inspired and I'm doing a project and then I realize, oh, geez, I'm missing something. I'm missing a materials supply list, or I don't have the same presser foot that the designer has recommended I use. What can we do? Well, with Janome, there's always alternatives. So I'm just going to share with you a little bit more of what we can do when we don't have maybe the same materials and the same presser feet as recommended in whatever the project, just some ideas, some springboard ideas. So once again, yes, I'm here on my fabulous CM17, and boy, my sewing room is maybe the disaster it is for you. Look at all this that I have to share with you. So where this all came about, you may remember seeing if you were with me here last week, I shared with you all on our janome.ca site, there is an Inspire tab. Now, there's also an Inspire tab of janome.com in America, but here in Canada, it's janome.ca, and it's in the Inspire tab. And we have within that tab, there's another tab that says Canadian projects, and our Janome Canada artisan, Kim Jameson Hurst. Again, you're all familiar with her. She does lives for Janome Sewing Machines and in the Continental Club. Kim is a Janome Canada artisan, and she created this wonderful project called Circles of Cheer. It's a series of 3 wall panels. And again, you'll see in her example, Kim used some metallic rickrack to stitch down to hang these balls that she created with the Janome circular attachment. So I demoed, oh, Sandra Gimler's here, hello, hello. So full instructions are on, again, the is on the Inspire tab of janome.ca, full instructions, again, how to do all of this. And again, you'll see Kim recommends, like when using the circular attachment, for example, there's the F foot, the satin stitch foot, or we've got the F2 open toe satin stitch foot. And again, there's that metallic rickrack that she used to create this project. So what if you want to create this, but oh, you don't have rickrack, as I was showing in my other live. Now you can go back to the Janome Sewing Machines or Janome Canada feed on Facebook to review the previous presentations, or again, they're also on Janome America YouTube and Janome Canada, Janome HQ YouTube to go back to review. Again, the rickrack, this was the only rickrack I had in my drawer, and I didn't really like those colors. So instead, what I demoed last time is, oh, I had some trim some of this like grosgrain ribbon left over from, a little gift basket I received at some point, or again, those boxes of fancy chocolate are a good time to get these little ribbons. So then I stitch these down with the applique stitches built into my, in this case, CM17, but any machine could do that applique. Even a regular zigzag would be fine. This beautiful ball wasn't that great. I was stitching this out last time and didn't have enough time to finish it on air, but look at that gorgeous applique stitching, again, using the circular attachment, which is available for a number of machines. There's some of the applique I did. Isn't that gorgeous? So we can always use these projects that are, again, free on the Inspire tab as the springboard for our creativity. So maybe you have, again, in your drawer, if you're like me, you save. I was, again, appliquing this Merry Christmas ribbon or this like grosgrain ribbon here. I backed it with stabilizer, as well as the back of my fabric here, backed it with stabilizer, since we're going to be doing all that decorative stitching. And with the applique stitches built into my machine, again, there you barely see that little tight zigzag to catch that ribbon, or in this case, this grosgrain was just attached with the straight stitch. And I was using the G foot, the blind hem foot, with that center guide to stitch this down very accurately. So you can go back to review those presentations. But again, we can always adapt and make things work for us. So what if we don't have any purchased ribbons, you know, that, again, I save everything, but what if we don't have any of these ribbons that are already made? Well, we can make our own, of course, with the fabric that we probably already have. So here, as I'm making my project, I had some little extra Christmas fabric. So I thought, well, great, I can make my own straps here. And I've got two various widths of straps. And then again, I made the straps, and then you'll see better on the back side. You see that beautiful blanket stitch, again, on my Janome machine. And then here, maybe you'll see there is a row of straight stitching here, but because it's in red thread, you really don't see it. Or I could use a contrast. This is a great time to use some maybe metallic threads, or some multicolor threads, or even a contrast thread if you wish. There, you'll notice that straight stitching, and then there is this multi-step zigzag that I use to put down that little narrow trim. That worked out great. And again, more applique stitches here for the balls. So when we create our own trim, well, maybe you have the fabulous Janome quilt binder attachment available in a blister pack. Now, for our 9mm machines, and specifically for our Continental ones here, but 9mm, you'll see 9mm, and it says easy set bobbin compatible. Now, there's two different base plates for circular attachments. This is a rectangular base plate that you remove your bobbin cover of your machine. And again, this metal base plate goes in where that bobbin cover was in your needle plate. So you need to make sure you get the correct one for your machine. Contact your Janome dealer. And again, we've got a lot of blogs on our Janome Life blog all about using this quilt binder attachment. We've got many videos on our respective YouTube channels, how to use the quilt binder attachment. I'm going to go through very fast and furious because I've got lots to show, of course. So how about, we're not going to bind anything with this attachment. Typically, we're binding our quilt, so we can fold the fabric and stitch it down all in one step. But instead, I'm going to use it to create, again, ribbon, just of any kind. You know, this is great. Maybe you want to do these as ties for a curtain, a little cafe curtain. This could be tie for like your hair. This could be tie for a cushion around, if this is like the back of the chair, you're tying the cushion to the back of the chair. This could be a tie there. Anytime you want, these could be handles for a tote bag. Anytime you just need a strap. But look at how perfect that is because of the quilt binder attachment. So there is a foot included, the W1 foot, that has a little notch there. if you see where they recommend in the blister pack instructions that you line up your needle with that little notch. Well, I could use this foot, but instead another foot that we could use, the fabulous applique foot, the AP foot. Now, this I demoed specifically in the A to Z with Janome series that's on the Janome HQ YouTube channel. Now, you may be familiar with, again, our F foot here on the right, or the F2, the open toe satin stitch foot. They have grooves on the back side of the foot to allow those decorative stitches to pass. So these are often included with your machines. This applique foot, I believe, is always an additional foot if you would like. And again, for mine, it's 9 millimeters for my 9mm machines. And again, this is the AP applique foot, and it has some convenient little grooves on the front to help us line up our stitching. It has the groove on the back side for, again, the decorative stitches. But unlike our regular snap-on foot, this attaches in 2 different spots. It's not just one snap-on. First, first we hook it into the back of the foot holder, just like the T button sewing foot. We clip it in the back of the foot holder, and then we tip up the front of the foot so it clips into place. So I can use this foot, and you may be able to see I've already moved my needle over to the left-hand needle position. I'll go back to default. I'll go back to default here. So there, as I'm in center needle position, but then I can use the dials here, or I can touch on my LCD screen to move that needle position over to this left-hand notch, which is going to help me guide my stitching. So this binder attachment, quilt binder attachment, again, very quickly. Now, again, you can go to our Janome Life blog and go to our respective YouTube channels to read more and watch more about how to attach use this as binding, but in this case, I'm going to make a strap out of it. Now I'm using the fabulous Janome tape stand, which I also use for binding. Roll up your binding. In this case, it's 2 inches wide. I've got the wrong side facing me. The right side is away from me. And I'm just going to put this through this little accordion fold and put it through the binder here to make our own, again, straps, or this could be again, a little ribbon. It works out so good. Oh, and I end up losing all my tools here. That's the trouble. When I have so many things on my table, I end up losing my tools. So let me just put this through very quickly. So there, as you see, the joy of this quilt binder attachment, well, look, it folds it under, folds the raw edges under, and it would normally attach, if this were my quilt sandwich, this other piece of fabric, again, it would put right in the middle, and it would attach and sew down the binding all in one step, fold it over and stitch it all in one step. Well, instead, I'm not going to bind anything with it. I'm just going to use this to make my strap. And again, I can move my needle position over wherever I need it. I'm just going to line it up with that guide that's on my AP applique foot. Now I can, since I'm going to go through a couple of layers here, 4 layers of fabric because it's folded over. I like making my stitch a little longer at 3.0. I don't need that tight 2.4 stitch. And again, just a regular straight stitch, and away we go. Like, it works out so perfect. So here, as you will see, there is my line of stitching. I'll just get a little more. There is my line of stitching, perfectly even. My strap perfectly done. Boom. Again, it just comes off perfectly with this tape stand, but I'm doing that with a regular straight stitch. Of course, we could go in and do, oh, any of these beautiful, again, that's an heirloom stitch, or let's see, oh, a lot of people like this serpentine stitch, which is kind of like a curvy zigzag. Now, my default is set here to 5.0, but of course, I can easily make that a little wider, more narrow. I can make it longer, shorter. There's, again, I'll do that 9 millimeters. I'll make it a little bigger. Anytime we adjust anything, it turns blue. So we've known we've done it. So again, how cool is that? So now I can do this more like decorative stitch here. And again, my strip is perfect. So how wonderful is that? Folds it under. I'll just go and again, if we've got the boom there, we've got the beautiful, again, more serpentine stitch. So we make our strap first, and then we put it down on our fabric. Now, again, full instructions in the Circles of Cheer instructions on Janome.ca in the Inspire tab under Canadian projects. We make a mark, and then again on our fabric. So this is where I can align my strip, and I can either sew it down with a straight stitch, or as I did, I sewed the straight stitch down to make my strap, and then I could go in with another straight stitch, maybe a twin needle. I could use that serpentine decorative stitch here to attach it to my fabric. So to make our own strap with the quilt binder attachment, so that works wonderfully. What else could we use? So let's quickly get rid of this quilt binder attachment, because there is a very similar foot that I made the smaller cording with. So quilt binder attachment, we're using 2-inch strips, and they end up to be about 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch wide. If we would like a more narrow strip, what we will do is replace the bobbin cover, and I can get rid of my applique foot here, is use the binder foot. Now this binder foot, and again for 9 millimeters, but also comes for 7 and 5 millimeters, the W foot. Again, it's got this weird little funnel, but it does the same thing as the quilt binder, in that it folds over the raw edge of the fabric and stitches it down all in one step. So full instructions in the back of the blister pack. So what I'm going to do to make my own smaller strap, now this foot, the binder foot, is not really for quilt binding. It's more to bind like a single layer of fabric. In this case, this denim here, nice small little, it's about 1/4 of an inch finished. So specifically, if we're garment sewing and we're doing what's known as the Hong Kong finish, you see my seam allowance is beautifully finished on both sides here, beautifully finished on both sides for that Hong Kong finish. So beautiful designer touch. But, and because I'm in bias with a 45-degree angle, again, I can make these little shapes if I wanted. So the cool thing is, again, we make these skinny, about 1/4 of an inch straps. So that works out really good. So again, we could use this for, making, again, those cafe curtains, those little hair ties. We could do this for like spaghetti straps. Now, when I get started in this foot, in order to help me put it through the binder, what I like to do is just on the tip here, I like to just do a couple of stitches. I turn my balance wheel a few times, or this is where on the Continental machines, we've got this fabulous thumb wheel. So we can rotate the thumb wheel a few times. I don't need that serpentine stitch anymore. I can just go back to a straight stitch. That we can just do a couple of stitches in the tip of the fabric. And why I do that is it will help me pull this. I have these long threads here on the tip of the fabric, and then that'll help me as I put it through the binder. Then it'll help me pull. See how that works? It works so well. It just pulls it right through. So this is where, again, if we had a single layer of fabric, again, we want to bind a pocket edge, for example, or a seam allowance, then we just feed our fabric through here, and the binder foot will fold over the raw edges of the fabric and stitch it down beautifully. So it would bind the edge of our fabric, or in this case, again, I'm just using it to make this strap. It works out so beautifully. And again, I could use red thread, but boom, there, my little, like you barely see it in the white. So again, I would put this down on my fabric. Now I could even stitch this with my fabric underneath and create the strap all in the same step. I could attach it to my under piece of fabric all in the same step if I choose to. Instead, I'd rather do it in 2 steps. And again, I could use a twin needle. I could go back with my G foot and do a beautiful row of edge stitching. I could use, again, like that multi-step zigzag or that serpentine stitch to put down this skinny strap and then put the ball underneath. So that's an option with this binder foot. Or then I was having, a lot of fun. We have feet like, yes, the ribbons and sequins foot, the RS foot. There are multiple guides within this foot here. And again, you go back to the A to Z with Janome series where I demoed all these various guides. Go back to our many Facebook Lives. Our fabulous Celine has used this foot many times as well, where what if we don't have any ribbon at all? We can take our own fabric, in which case I just cut my fabric, cut up my extra fabric. I backed it with some sticky stabilizer, so then the raw edges are not going to ravel. And I could use my guides. We've got a little guide here that's about an eighth of an inch. This guide here is about 7 millimeters, so it's about a generous quarter. And again, we could put this down. We could use a twin needle if we wanted, or in this case, again, any decorative stitch. And we've got the guide here in the foot to keep this ribbon perfectly parallel, whatever decorative stitch we want. We can just really have a lot of fun. So we can make, that's the multi-step zigzag here. And again, I could use red thread or metallic thread as a contrast. And because I've used the sticky stabilizer, though, the edge of my fabric is not going to ravel. And this is a wall hanging after all, so it's not going to get any wear and tear. We could do some applique stitches, though, along with that, using that applique foot. So again, we could create our own ribbon, even if we don't have any ribbon ourselves. Or, of course, I really had fun. Again, this is just like a springboard. It opens the creative rabbit hole, as I say. Now here, we can do things like, yes, the grosgrain ribbon that I've had forever. Well, we can, of course, do applique stitches to put it down, embellish it first with that metallic, some of the decorative stitches built into your machine. In this case, the little bells, how perfect for Christmas. But you could use this project for any time of year, really. It doesn't have to be Christmas. But I decorated the ribbon first, and then I stitched it down. No, in which case I did. I stitched through all layers. So why not? It worked out beautifully. And again, I think I used the AP foot for this. Now here, what if we don't have any ribbon at all, extra fabric, but we've got yarn? I love yarn, but I can't take up knitting and crocheting. So instead, I use the yarn here to hold the balls. So you take your fabulous narrow groove beading foot or wide groove beading foot. And as you can imagine, on the back side of the foot, there is a groove. The narrow one is a little more narrow. This is the wide one. So you first purchase these from your fabulous Janome dealer. You can find out more information on them, again, from the A to Z with Janome series on the Janome HQ YouTube channel. You take your feet to the craft store first and you see, oh, will this yarn, or it could be a, again, you keep little bits of everything. Do my beads, how about that instead of yarn? Oh yes, if we have a string of pearls, we could use this as the hangers for those circles of cheer wall panels. So will that pearls in this case fit through? Or again, this rat tail cording would go great. It's too small for the wide groove foot, but it would work great for the narrow groove foot. So again, you first go to the Janome dealer to pick up either of these feet, and then you take it to the craft store and make sure that your ribbon in this case, or your pearls or your yarn in this case, will fit. Again, there's just so much going on. So we take this yarn. Now, the fun thing too is, again, this is a clear foot and we could use any zigzag. Now, I like using that multi-step zigzag because then it just adds a little bit more extra stitching in between the zigzag. I do like leaving a longer tail at the back, so then I can help just, push this through and then trim it up later. So again, I've already got that multi-step zigzag. That 5.0 is the default, but of course I can go more wide. I'll go up to 7.0. It's at 1.0 length, but I could probably go a little longer. And again, this is a wall hanging, so it's not going to get any wear and tear really, but you may get a lot of people looking very closely at it going, oh my gosh, that is so cool. How did you do all that? Well, again, I'm just going to use my Janome feet. I've got my line here on my fabric, and I'm just going to guide. Again, that this could be a string of pearls, beads, whatever. That foot, we let our presser feet, whatever one they are, do all the hard work for us. Look how cool that is. It just adds another extra dimension to it. And I had no problem, butting all three of these together to create more definition. So that's a lot of fun. Now, when we get into doing the fabric for the balls, well, sure, I used, in my previous examples, I used, like Christmas-themed fabric here for the balls. Well, what if you don't have any Christmas-themed fabric? Well, your Janome machine already has a number of beautiful stitches already built into it, decorative or otherwise. These are just utility stitches. They're in the utility category when we first turn on our machine. Regular old zigzag stitches. This is the overcasting stitches. This one in particular is for knit fabrics, recommended for knit fabrics. This one is the overcast stitch. It's got that extra little zigzag if you've got really ravelly fabric, really delicate fabrics that we recommend using this to finish off the edge of your fabric. There is another one as well to finish off the edge, another zigzag. This is called the box stitch, which is great to join two pieces of batting actually with that box stitch. So there's many decorative stitches, including the utility stitches of your machine. Now here's more seasonal decorative stitches built into my CM17. Now these all look a little more special because of, again, that beautiful red thread here with that beautiful metallic thread. Or how about we use these multicolor threads, are also very fun to use. Or again, you get more multicolor threads. You go, these are from Madeira, but you go double check with your fabulous Janome dealer and you see what threads they have. So and they make all your stitching more extra special. So when I'm going to be doing these decorative stitches, Again, very fast and furious. One of my most favorite feet, the Janome border guide foot. And again, 9 millimeters. Just double check if you've got a 7 millimeter machine, you get the correct one. You'll see it's a lot. Oh, geez, I keep dropping everything because I've got so much on my table. You'll see that it has a groove on the backside, just like the F foot and the F2 foot, the satin stitch foot. This is the FB border guide foot. So we can get those decorative stitches to form beautifully and pass underneath, but you'll see it's got this horizontal registration line and vertical registration lines. So this will help us line up our rows of decorative stitching. Now, this beautiful sewing machine cover you may see over there in all of my paraphernalia, beautiful rows and rows of decorative stitches. So there we can go to our Sew for Home, partners with Sew for Home, to get that free sewing machine pattern. I just realized that I'm going to be on white fabric with white thread. So I'll just use this fabric instead. So you'll be able to see, and again, backed it with stabilizer for sure. So any of our regular stitches, again, I'm in my utility category here of my CM17. So any of these would be fine. I'll just do this very quickly because, again, I see my time is going fast. I could line up the edge of my fabric with some of the marks here on my patented needle plate. I could line it up here, again, with the edges of the foot and just do this very quickly. You can go to our Janome Life blog. Oh, there's a million blogs all about these extra presser feet, but yes, the border guide foot is always a very special favorite of us all. So there, my beautiful row of decorative stitching, but now I want to line up the edges of this zigzag. So again, I could run it with the line of the foot. If I can get in a little closer, that I could line it up with the edge of the foot. And again, we could do any kind of stitch we choose. So even if we have the regular utility stitches, we don't have a lot of fancy decorative stitches, but even the regular utility stitches can look very decorative when we're using some specialty threads. So there we go. And again, perfectly even because I was following the lines on the foot to make it, again, so perfect, so perfectly parallel rows of stitching. And again, all of that stitching done with the border guide foot, the FB foot. And again, all those utility stitches look much more beautiful, given in metallic threads. And just as a little tip here, when we're doing our satin stitch applique, I don't know if you can see you see a little bit of my ribbon underneath. I overlapped a little bit there on the yarn, and you see a little bit of the white coming through. So in this stitching, I wanted it a little more dense. So all I did when using my circular attachment to do this applique, I just went over it twice, did applique twice, and it worked beautifully. It's a little more dense that way. So isn't that beautiful? So as always, what a whirlwind of information. And again, we can go to our things like our presser foot workbook. And there's lots of information here. Presser foot workbook, and we have the various addendums. It's a whole workbook on how to use many feet that come with our machine, like the over edge foot and overcast foot. But then we can go in and get the various addendums about some of the specialty presser feet. Oh, like the pin tucking feet, for example. That would be another thing. We could decorate our fabric with pin tucks and then apply it as little balls in our project. So again, lots of good resources in the Janome Presser Foot Workbook, as well as our respective Facebook and Instagram, and of course, Janome Life blog and YouTube channel. There is lots of information out there to help you get the most from your Janome machines and presser feet, but also that you can finish these projects, even if you don't have the same presser feet or the same supplies as recommended in the project. There's always a way, creative way that you can adapt it, of course, using your Janome products. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. Have a very Merry Christmas and wonderful day tomorrow, and whatever holiday and traditions that you choose to observe and celebrate. We certainly hope that you all stay happy and healthy and use your Janome machines and have lots of fun. So thank you everyone for joining me today. Have a fabulous day. Bye.